slice around the meeting today. I really appreciate. My name is Amit Bania. I'm one of the homeless outreach worker at Community Support Services, partnered by the Akron Endowment Partnership. I'm here with my coworker.
Hello, my name is Carl Slayton. I am an outreach worker as well as the housing liaison for Community Support Services.
Yes. And I also have my two coworkers who came here to support me. So the reason, well, also thanks to Mr. Jason for allowing us to be here and talk about what we do and how we assist our people with homelessness. The main goal for me today, because I'm here, is that I wanted to share with you guys the information that we utilize as a homeless outreach worker to assist individuals who are experiencing homelessness, who are outdoor, and who are also in a chronic homelessness category as well. Most of the informations are pretty much pretty fundamental. So if you already know this, that's great. If not, it will be a good information to carry with you after we finish our training. And every slide will have a chance to do some Q&A and things like that. You're more than welcome to ask me questions. And yeah, so let's get this started. So we are Community Support Services. We are behavioral and mental health clinic. We are located at 150 Process Street. If you know where Akron U is, next to that is our Workplaces Parkway. That's where our main clinic is. We provide individual therapy, group therapy. We have primary care providers. We have psychiatric for medications. We have pharmacy. We also provide case management services, and we also have licensed social worker as well. We, on the other hand, we are with the Homeless Outreach Center. Our office is a little down from the main clinic. We're located at 111 East Bourse Street. We open Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30. We close on federal holidays and weekend. In our department, the services that we provide are specifically designed for people with homelessness who are in category 1. So that means we're living in the street, sleeping in the street, doesn't have any shelter and things like that. So we provide shower. They can do a lot of laundry each day. We have community referrals. We also have case management services where they would come in, do their intake, tell us their presenting problems, and we try to connect them with the community services that we have. And we also have emergency shelter, overnight shelter. This is only during the winter time when the weather is 20 degrees or below, or when there's like a snowstorm. So we serve, how many people did we serve this year?
Quite a few. The shelter itself utilizes our building at off of Bourse Street. However, it is ran through the Peter Moore Center. I do not remember the exact number of individuals that we served. Do you know that?
I don't know how many days we did.
Yeah, how many days?
74.
Yes.
74 days.
74 days throughout the winter.
It was
I
about
can
70
say,
to 80 people
yeah,
each
yeah,
time.
about 60 to, I think on our high end, the one day we had close to 90 because of the circumstances, how cold it was. So we definitely partner with Peter Moore Center and other places that kind of help have those types of resources available as well.
Yes. So overnight shelter is a great place for you to know, so you can able to refer somebody who are in need during the winter time and things like that. We also have Haven of Rest and other on the shelter that we will talk about later during that training. So yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell about us. Oh yes, thank you. Oh, so we all know when I say the word people with homelessness, we already know that okay, they don't have a place to sleep, they don't have a house, they don't have an apartment, things like that. But if we have to think critically, we have to understand that there are different types of people with homelessness, or I should say types of homelessness. The first one that we really focus on is the people that are chronically homeless. So they are the one whose homelessness is like going rapidly. It has to be over 12 months or so to be on a category 1 homelessness. The second one that we focus on is the transitional homelessness. So pretty much, they are in a shelter and then like they are not, they're in the street and like they're transitioning. So those are the types of folks that we work as well. Episodic is pretty much like, let's say I have a full-time job, I have apartment, I'm living my life, and all of a sudden I got fired or something like that, and I don't have emergency fund, things like that, and like now all of a sudden I went from being indoor to being outdoor, which is being, being a person with homelessness. So that's number 3, episodic homelessness. And we also have hidden homelessness. We don't have a lot of data on that because they don't come and seek help, so we pretty much categorize them as somebody who is experiencing hidden homelessness. So those are the types of homelessness that we have.
One thing about the first one that comes up for chronic homelessness, there is 2 ways an individual can be categorized as chronically homeless. You have somebody who has been homeless for a year or longer, so 12 months or longer in one episode, or somebody who has had 4 episodes of homelessness over the course of 3 years, equaling 12 months. So those are the individuals that kind of fall in between that, with that transitional period where maybe they can find a spot to stay for a little while, they end up back on the street. Kind of those individuals can also fall within the chronic kind of umbrella.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah. So those are the 4 types of homelessness that we have so far. So, you are an adult, you need a basic needs and things like that, but what is the reason that you are outdoor? What is the reason that you are experiencing homelessness and things like that? So, to answer my own question, from understanding homelessness from a theoretical perspective, we have a great theory here by our Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So everybody probably already heard about Maslow's hierarchy of need and things like that. A lot of people with homelessness, they do not have the physiological need. So it's really hard for us to focus in their others' need when their own physiological needs are not being met. Physiological needs in our point of view would pretty much consist of being housed, having enough food to eat, are you warm enough, and things like that. And those are the kind of people that we really work on. And because they come to our office, they do the intake, they pretty much share about their present problems, and we do some assessment and things like that. When we have people with homelessness who are in category 1, the chronic homelessness, they are pretty much on the level 1. So looking from this theoretical perspective, they don't have those kind of things. So it's really hard for us to focus on other goals for them. So every time when they come in, the first goal that they have is, how can I be indoor? Where can I get a house? What can you do for me so I can be indoor and things like that? Those are the main goals pretty much most of the time. That's the goal that they have all the time. So we pretty much focuses on, okay, so you're experiencing homelessness, you're indoor, you're chronically homeless, so let's see how we can able to help you. What are your strengths? What are your positive factors? What's hindering you from being indoor? So first thing, they will give us that goal, like I want to be indoor, but when we are doing assessment, what's keeping you outdoor? What's hindering you from being indoor? What are your positive factors that you have? What are the skills that you have? What can you do for yourself so you can be indoor? What can we do? It's always about, person-centered treatment. So like, what's your goal? How can we help you? It's always trying to understand your positive factors and utilizing that as a way to help them. So pretty much, so that's from a theoretical perspective, we always focuses on Maslow's hierarchy of need. Let's say, for example, I have a client and then they are chronically homeless, and it's like, now what? And you ask them questions, right? And so, okay, let's say for name, okay, Mr. Max, so you are experiencing homelessness, you've been outdoor for a while now, you don't have anywhere to go, what's your goal? 9 out of 10, they will say, I want to be housed. So that's when you kind of, jump in and say, okay, so let's say, okay, so that's your goal, that's a good thing that you're trying to be indoor. How can we help you? When was the last time you were indoor? What did you do to keep yourself indoor? So those kind of questions you always ask them. You don't go and say, oh, it seems like you're mentally ill, so we're probably gonna have to put you on a medication. That's not something we approach them with. It's always about physiological needs. I understand that you're going through a lot, because if we think from a Maslow's hierarchy of need perspective, I can go and focuses on your self-esteem and self-actualizations and things like that if I don't focus on your physiological needs. So let's see, let me connect you with the resources and things like that. So pretty much, it really helps us to gather more information so we can able to help our people who comes in seeking help, or even people who we met when we do outreach. So that's theoretical perspective from a Maslow's hierarchy of need. Any questions on this? No? Good.
One thing with that stands out too that we'll run into is sometimes it takes time to build that engagement. A lot of individuals who are unhoused may struggle with kind of making that connection or recognizing, hey, we may have walked up to your camp, never met us before, I don't want to trust you with all my stuff, right? Like that's completely reasonable. Sometimes it's acknowledging, like you said, with the person-centered approach of where they're at and what they want. So sometimes they may say, hey, I need to get housing. Okay, well, what's your barrier? Well, I tried to go to my housing appointment and I didn't have my documents. Or, you know, what can you do? Nobody can help me with that. So looking at things like sometimes best first step is, hey, do you have your ID? Let's get you an ID. You know, do you need your birth certificate? Things like that. And you build up to those next layers so that you can meet to that point. But sometimes convincing somebody that you are there to help them is, you gotta take those kind of smaller steps to reach that bigger end goal as well.
And then, speaking from my own professional experience while working with people with homelessness, is that if you approach them with kindness and things like that, rarely people will start talking about their problems and things like that, but it takes a minute to build that relationship with these folks in the street, because why would I trust you? Because I have done it in the past with other people, they did not house me. Well, I wanted to know more about that. You know, I'm sorry you had a very bad experience with somebody else's, but I'm here to understand you from your point of view. How can I help you and all that. I have gotten a lot of, like, you know, avoidance from people, leave me alone, I don't care, no, you guys are useless, I don't wanna engage and all that. The only thing that you care about is trying to make me a client so you can bill me. I don't wanna be on medications. Oh, I'm fine and things like that, but guess what? You meet the same person over and over and over again at the same spot, and first thing, they don't wanna talk, that's okay. Next time, go say hi, things like that. That's how we build a relationship. We never approach them and impose our own value because we don't want to do it. You know, we understand you from your point of view, so I'm here to support you when it makes sense. I'm ready when you're ready. So it's never like, oh, you're out here, let me grab you, let me take you, nothing like that. It's pretty much like, hey, we're here to help you. This is what we do. What can I do to support you? So pretty much those kind of things we do when we're doing outreach. So.
And one other thing with this, and I don't think I saw it in the slide, so please stop me if it is there.
Yeah.
This is the basis behind an entire housing model that is slowly being increased in use. It is known as the housing first model. People may benefit from, you know, psychiatric treatment, substance abuse treatment, finding employment, all these different things. But the housing first model is, you know, looking at it from that base level. You don't have a place to lay your head at night. You don't have a stable location to make sure that you have the food you need, you know, your water, all of those things. So when somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm interested in trying to obtain housing, and they may have all sorts of other things. They can even admit to it, like, hey, I'm struggling with substance abuse. I want to work on that, but I can't seem to put in that effort to get there at this point. It might be in that pre-contemplation stage or even contemplation. So there are housing programs that are being developed now that'll focus on, okay, well, let's get you indoors. All things aside, a number of people will be like, oh, well, you know, they're so focused on, let's just say, substance use. You should take care of that first. That might not be what the person is. So there are programs now that are being developed that'll acknowledge those barriers to help get that person indoors so you can make that next step in working on whether it's your mental health, your physical health, your substance abuse, any kind of past traumas you may have experienced, finding employment. You know, the whole reason the Housing Authority has such a long list isn't necessarily because people aren't trying, but the Housing Authority allows somebody to move in with low to no income and then build themselves up from there. A lot of that is that housing first mentality that comes directly from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, acknowledging that those base needs will help grow to the other points of growth.
Yep. Thank you, Carl. So Mr. Jason made me work, so I did some research on, myths and fact about people with homelessness and things like that. While I was doing some Google Scholar, research and things like that, I was surprised when I see the myths and the fact, because if you look here on the chart that I created, I do have a citation of them. So let's say we have heard the myth, unhoused people are unemployed and things like that. Those are the kind of things that we hear all the time, right? Because obviously, if you have a job, why do you not have housing? So it makes sense why people have those kind of myths. But the fact is, according to the research, 40% to 60% population has a job. And I agree on this because we work in a homeless outreach center, the department. We have a day room facility where, again, as I mentioned earlier, well, they can do a lot of laundry, shower, coffee, and things like that. Most of the people do have a job. They do.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how up to 40 to 60% populations who are experiencing homelessness, they have a job. It's not the money that's keeping them from being housed. It's the other factors that nobody talks about. So that's one of the myths that I came up with. Another myth that we focus on is like people choose to be homeless. Okay, I'm on TikTok. I don't know if you guys are on. I love social media and things like that. A lot of people have converted their vehicle and things like that into a house and things like that. They go around the world, they go around the country and things like that. I don't think that's homelessness because they're on a van and they have all these things going on in their house and they have their shower and things like that. I have worked with somebody when I was a case manager during my undergrad who definitely did chose to be homeless. Like he's like, I do not want to be housed. I want to live free, and that's your decision. You are an adult and things like that. If you choose to be unhoused, it's up to you. But the myth about all the people who are experiencing homelessness chose to be homeless is wrong because that is not true. So according to the research that I made, they have traumas and such makes it even more challenging because they did not choose to become homeless or person with homelessness. The research has shows that they have trauma, which has led them to make this myth, and it makes it even worse because you are already experiencing homelessness, you don't have your basic need, and now the people from our community are saying these kind of things, making fun and all that, which is even triggering my trauma even more. So those are the facts. Another myth that the paper talked about is people with homelessness are violent, criminal, and dangerous. The truth is a person who is homeless is no more likely to be criminal than a person who is housed, with one legal exception, camping ordinances. So, just because somebody is experiencing homelessness typically doesn't mean that, they're violent, criminal, and things like that. We have a lot of people who are indoor and they are still violent. So we can't even compare those kind of things. Another myth that a lot of people talk about is housing should come with conditions like being clean and sober. People need care and support to learn how to stabilize the new environment. Let me give you a perfect example. So let's say I'm a homeless outreach worker. Carl, my coworker, is an MHA liaison. He focuses on, housing people and things like that. And Brandy, my coworker, is a case manager. When she housed somebody who have been chronically homeless in the past, after the individual is housed, we have another person who works as a
It's a retention specialist.
Housing retention specialist. So just because they are housed doesn't mean that they can able to take care of themselves and the house that they are living. They also need somebody to monitor them so they can follow the protocols and the policies that are out there, the guidelines and things like that, most of the time, those people who have been outdoor for a long time, they often forget the basic skill that they need to have to keep their housing. But situations like this is very real because we could house them and then they'll get evicted after 6 months or so, and then back to the same cycle. So teaching them, making them independent, understanding that self-determination skill makes a difference. We teach our client work indoor. We support them. We have housing retention specialists who teaches them how to keep their house clean, how to maintain their housing, how to keep up with their appointment, how being on a medications or being in therapy can able to help them to be stable so they can able to focus on themselves and the house that they're living, because again, because of the trauma, because of the experience that they've been out for so long, it really takes a minute for them to gather the ability to keep their housing. So that is a fact.
So with that, real quick, I wanted to just ask and get, see if anybody has any thoughts. Does anybody think that there would be any reason to fear or be anxious about entering housing?
If maybe they're uncomfortable with the people who may already be in the house.
Sure, that is definitely one reason.
Rules that they don't want to follow. So like I've heard multiple people say through the years that they don't want to go to Haven because they don't want the religiosity that comes with it. That makes them, especially like if they have mental health issues and can make them not feel comfortable.
Anything else anybody can think of?
Just like the fear of the unknown, not knowing what to expect.
That is the one I was looking for. So when I first started working at Community Support Services, I was initially a case manager on a team that specialized in working with individuals who was chronically homeless. What would happen is we would work to get them housed. Once they were housed, I would step in, kind of similar to our retention specialist role. And part of that was identifying how to increase an individual's chance at succeeding in housing if that's what was best for them. Some people can move into housing, transition just fine, absolutely. However, if somebody has been out on the street a year, 2 years, I had somebody on my caseload that I had housed who had been on the street for 10. And they have to make a lot of adjustments. Some of the fears of getting housed is, how do I keep it? What if I get in and I fail? What if I don't have, I have to not follow a lease. I have to make sure my rent's paid. These are things that a lot of us can look at and acknowledge some of the fear, but we may not have that same thing where when you're on the street, there are obviously a lot to figure out, but at the same time, hey, I can't, I'm not gonna get evicted because I missed a payment. I can be, it's kind of secluded here. I don't have to worry about what if my neighbors are upset because of what I do. What if I have anxiety about going into a store? I've never been shopping for myself. These are all things that some individuals need time to process, and sometimes it's, hey, we can get people right to this finish line and we find this hesitation. And a lot of the reasons is that unknown, that uncertainty. I can stay where I am and kind of process through some figuring it out, or I can take this risk. And that risk comes with serious consequences. An eviction, maybe somebody has 2 evictions on their record already. That third eviction can become even more pressing. So kind of processing a lot of those fears is a part of what we do. Getting somebody indoors is the first step. Helping somebody develop the skills and the confidence to remain indoors is another. So a lot of the buildings that are being processed, like permanent supportive housing buildings and these supportive programmings have become so prevalent. It's to assist with that. Amit was kind of talking through these scenarios of people choosing to be homeless, right? I had a guy, the individual who was homeless for 10 years. I had known him for 3 by the point of when he was ready to be housed, but another one of my coworkers had known him for that long. And I spent one day a week, every week, going out to his camp, saying, hey, how you doing? I'm good. Need anything? I'd like a book. Okay, hey, I got you a book. No worries. I knew that was gonna be what you said because you told me the same thing for weeks and months and years. He walked into our outreach center one day and I was kind of confused because he wasn't the person who would typically walk in. And he was like, hey. I was like, oh, what's up, man? And he goes, I want to get housed. right there was a moment for him. He knew, hey, I have done what I could, I need to change. This was a guy who was completely self-sufficient. He had a garden hidden in the woods about a quarter of a mile from his campsite. He had a built-in, like, structured wood stove that he had built into the side of a hill. He was completely self-sufficient, and he loved it. And he told me, he's like, hey, I'm ready. I need to do something. However, I can't be in an apartment. I'm terrified of being in an apartment. I need a space for me and my dog to be able to function. So we had to get creative. We found him a spot that he was able to utilize a trailer. Is that perfect housing to some people? Maybe not. But for him, he's been there for 6 years now. And that helped him work through some of that anxiety. He could still have his garden. He had room for his dog to run around. And he didn't have to be in a big group setting. So sometimes finding what those hesitations are and figuring out how to get somebody to be stable and comfortable in their environment, because stability is different for everybody. That comes in a lot with figuring out, what are your fears? What do you need to work on?
Actually, along those lines, and you and Amit will probably know this, so I'm gonna jump when you're done, but if we encounter someone and we say that we wanna call you or connect them with you, if part of their fear is that they have to be a CSS client or that they're gonna have to have a mental health case manager, do they, or are we able to assure them that, like, no, you can use home housing services?
So that's actually a really great question. The really great thing about homeless outreach, and the thing that, I think most of us have come to love about what we do, is yes, community support services as a whole is a resource that's available. However, you don't ever have to actually get assigned a caseworker if you're not ready. You can come in, you can wash your clothes, you can come do laundry, you can ask the person at the desk some questions. Until you want to take that next step, and even if you come in and say, hey, I'd like to get a caseworker, that caseworker is never going to truly look at you and say, hey, we're gonna make a suggestion, like, hey, you're here, it looks like you would benefit from seeing a doctor. I mean, I think all of us would benefit from seeing a doctor every once in a while, physical health, whatever. We work and build to that. But under no circumstance does somebody have to have a caseworker to come utilize our facility. They don't have to have a caseworker to ask to sit down and fill out a housing application.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
See, like, what I like to do when I'm out is, sometimes people don't even wanna call on the card, so I leave them a note, and I leave my personal cell phone. Like, here, this is what we can do for you, if you don't feel like comfortable, because some people don't even wanna call the number, you know what I mean? And if you leave them a note, a personal note, a lot of them will reach out, you know what I mean? So sometimes, he's saying, you don't have to do it, we're just here to help if you want help.
Okay. And whatever your level of interest is where we're gonna meet. Under no circumstance do we ever have an alternative agenda. We might have somebody who comes in and says, hey, again, I just need an ID, because if I get an ID, I can go work at a temp agency. Perfect. That's where you want to be. That's where we're gonna meet you, and that is honestly the best approach to take if you run into somebody who might be having any number of issues. If somebody was to say, come here to the natatorium and you notice them regularly, hey, just reach out. This is an opportunity for you. If if we were ever to come in here and just say, first thing we say is, hey, how are you? We just wanted to check in. Is there anything we can do for you? We don't even really talk necessarily about what everything we can do, because that's overwhelming. We might just say, hey, what is it you want to try to work on today? Is there anything? Oh, I'm just trying to find where the closest meal site is. Cool, we got you. Here's a resource.
Thanks, Carl. And another myth that I wanted to go back is, there is nothing I can do for them. You as an individual living in the same community, your support is equally helpful. And there are many ways you can support people with homelessness, and we're gonna talk about it. Any questions on these myths and facts before I jump in? No?
Or has anybody had, heard, or thought of any other myths? Maybe things you've heard, things you've thought? Because I'll be honest with you, there is nobody on the planet who hasn't had a thought. A judgment that they've made based on information that they've, from even their own experience. They're there.
I'll share some real quick. I work here at the natatorium, and Kathy and some other people encountered a person who was homeless but employed. He worked nights because he didn't have a place to stay, and it took a long time of talking to him and building trust, and eventually he got housed through community support services. But that's all he wants. He doesn't want anything else. He doesn't want to get his GED. He still wants to work where he's working at night. But it took a long, I mean, how long, Kathy? I don't know, it was months or weeks, or it was a significant time, and he had to come down. He has ups and downs like we all do, but he had to come down, and there's some repeat stuff, and I think CSS came out 2 or 3 times, and even then he had a card that he would show us, and he didn't do it, but eventually now he's housed, and he still has some struggles, and he comes here, but he was employed. He had he was able to have a conversation, but he was unhoused, and so it took a long time to build that trust, and it's great that we could help him out. You guys helped too.
He was very, very proud of himself too
Yes.
when he got that
Mhm.
key.
Which is
He
Yeah.
made sure he stopped to let Jason and I know that
Yep.
he had the key.
Oh, that's
So,
That's the big part. That's the last part of the myth there, you know, the thing is, no little, there's no such thing as a little bit of help. Any part you can play for somebody to help, you know, them reach their goal, when you see that moment, that's why we do it. There's days that you can always look and be like, man, nothing's gonna work, nothing's happening, you know? Beating my head against the wall here, it's really trying. But when you get there, you know, the support that you two showed for that individual was exponentially important to get them where they wanted to be.
So, you know, you're helping hands, you want to help. So, let's say you don't have experience working with people with homelessness, you do not know the resources and things like that. Somebody approached to you, you encounter somebody and all that. But you do want to help, but like you don't know how to help and things like that. How can you be a support to the person who is experiencing homelessness and things like that? One of the thing is avoiding imposing your own values. You're an adult. Why did you make that decision? So like I'm imposing my values to you because I'm telling you the things I wish you had done. You are an adult. You had all these options and you chose to be homeless. So I'm imposing values, right? Avoid that. That's the one way you can support somebody. Use person first language. Again, a conditions and a situations doesn't define a person, so we never use anything but, you know, person first language. Like every time we approach somebody, we give them the dignity and the respect that they deserve. We are kind to them. We never say, oh, you're homeless, oh, you are this, oh, you are that, and all that, because we always use person first language. A person with homelessness, an unhoused individuals. And let's say you encounter somebody who are unhoused, you know, don't go on a call and try to help them, but say, oh, I'm here with a homeless client or homeless person, because that's not person first language. You know, utilizing that person first language really gives them that, you know, hope to ask you for help, so they can able to, you know, seek help and get the services that they need. So it's always person first language. Never say a person or say, oh, he's a depressed client or things like that. Just use the person first language. Person with depression, person with schizophrenia. So those kind of things. You know, a person experiencing this, a person experiencing that. Because the way you talk really makes a difference. That's why we are very trained on utilizing person first language, so we do not make them feel less, or, you know, we want to respect their abilities and not able to, you know, like do the things that other people would do. So person first language, that's also another way you can help somebody who are experiencing homelessness. Being assertive or staying assertive while you're helping. Giving $1 is not going to help them. And I still remember that I was doing my undergrad, and my professor, he taught me human behavior and social environment, and we had a chapter regarding people with homelessness, and that chapter did talk about Maslow's hierarchy of need and as well and things like that. And before I was taking that class, every time I had some chance and things like that, and if I see somebody panhandling and things like that, I would give them money hoping that they would go and like eat a burger or something like that, you know. And then one day we had this class, and then my professor, he said, raise your hand if you ever give money out to people who are experiencing homelessness. And I was like, yep, that's me, because I want to help, you know, and I'm getting my degree in social work, so obviously I want to help, you know. And then my professor said, that is not the way you help somebody who are living in a conditions like that because they need more than that. And that really stopped me, and I asked the professor and I said, why not? Like, I have changed and I give it to them, and then did that really change? And I said, well, maybe a burger or something, you know, and they were like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how you help somebody. This is how you approach. You don't have to have all the resources on your hand to support somebody, but being kind to them, being assertive and things like that. So giving $1 is not gonna help them. Let's say natatorium is here, allowing them to sleep here overnight is not gonna help them. You know, allowing them many excuses is not gonna help them, and things like that. What can help them is being assertive. Thank you for sharing that you are experiencing this with me. Let me see what I can do for you. These are the policies that we have to follow. These are the guidelines that we have. These are the protocols that we must follow. But I'm here to help you and see where it can make sense. So let me talk to my coworker, or let me talk to my manager, or things like that. But I do want to let you know that I do have to respect the policies and guidelines, you know. So staying assertive is a big thing, you know. So try to stay assertive. Don't try to please anybody. You know, you don't have to do that, but be kind. Communicate and comprehend. There is a difference between communicating with somebody versus comprehending. When somebody is telling you that, for example, going back to your example, the individual who was here not wanting to work and like, you know, all these things and all that. You heard the story of that person, but you constantly checked on him. You comprehend the information that he shared or the situations he's going through. So comprehension is a big thing. So stay compassionate. Going back to the myths and fact. Remember, staying compassionate, not judging them quickly, not putting your own values, but rather being alert about the community resources. We all have phone in our hand. We all have TV, all this news and all that. We have a bunch of resources. We have internet and all that. How can you help and things like that? So those are the way you can help somebody who are experiencing homelessness or anything else. So those are the things that you have to have if you are willing to not focus on myths but focus on facts. So try to have these informations on your mind before you go so you can able to help. Not even in a professional life too, even in personal life, you know, there are a lot of people who are not doing too well. How can you be the helping hand? How can you make them feel that you are here to support? How can you let them know that you are kind and you are assertive? Let them know that you are there and you are informed, and that's the way you can able to help. Okay, so yeah. So I did talk about the fundamental informations on what kind of informations do we hold when we're working with people with homelessness and things like that. Our professions looks quite different than yours, of course, but those are the things you can also, you know, learn and grow and utilize when you are working, because you are working in a community settings where you see different people. So having those knowledge really helps, and especially now that we're focusing on unhoused individual, obviously being that is really helpful. So these are the helping hands that we have in Summit County. I did brought some flyers with me and all that. We also have Akron Street card. I did brought some Akron Street card, but unfortunately I got the one that's from 2023. Now we have the updated version, so I will send it to you, and then you can able to share things like that. Or I stop here and there all the time, so might as well bring that in as well.
The nice thing is they've made a PDF of the street card for Summit County now, so you can always just look up, you know, 2020. I think they have the 2024 one still. They usually release the next year one right about the end of the year, so 2025 will probably come out in November. But it is a good comprehensive resource of, you know, things available, food pantries, primary care services, transportation services, like has a long list, so you can always just kind of search that up, and there's a nice PDF online as well.
Absolutely. It's very handy. When I first started, I didn't know a lot of resources in Summit County and all that, and I was introduced to Akron Street Card, and it's really handy. It's really helpful. We do a lot of outreach. Like, for example, the reason I dressed up like this today is because I I was doing outreach in downtown area, early morning, 6 a.m. this morning. You know, people are sleeping in the street and things like that. A lot of people do not know about resources and all that. One of the main thing that I have noticed is like a lot of people have been migrating in some area now. Like I see a lot of people who are new to the area and they're like, I don't know anything about the resources and things like that. I'm new here. I've been here for like, what, 2 weeks now. I don't know where to go and things like that. So, and I'm like, don't worry, I'm here. Pull out my street card and like tell them what they can do, where they can go, get services, what can we do to support you, what brings you here, what can we help and things like that. So every time we use open-ended question, we get a lot of information from them, which really helps us to, you know, comprehend the situation they are going through so we can able to help them. So street card always helps and all that. Again, PDF file is available on internet. And I think Akron Public School also has a lot of street card as well. It's free, so feel free to grab that, or I will bring it here and then you guys can have it as well. So these are the helping hand that we have. Let me go over to here. 911, we already know that. CSS, that's us. I'm also one of the homeless outreach worker, so that's my number as well. We have downtown Akron ambassadors as well. We have ADM Crisis Center. They are 24/7. If you encounter somebody who are in a mental health crisis and things like that, you're more than welcome to call ADM Crisis Center. Again, it's 24/7. My coworker have used that in the past, and do you think it's effective?
Absolutely.
Is that the same thing as PES, or that's something different?
So ADM, it is part of with it. So PES is utilized as a, like one of the spots that the crisis intervention teams can utilize. So there are several options for crisis intervention within the county. And ADM kind of participates in funding a lot of those things. So like you have Akron, PD, EMS, and then go through CIT training. Something that we actually partner with them to do. We participate in the CIT training, so officers who are getting certified will actually come out reaching with us and things like that. And learning about the mental health process. You can always, if you think somebody is struggling with a mental health crisis, you can contact the, whether it's APD, there's CIT officers within all departments. They really kind of push that initiative. So you can always ask for a CIT officer for any sort of mental health concerns. And then I'm gonna have to check into this. I think they do all of Summit County, but there's also the Scout program, which is a team of professionals with I think it's like licensed social worker, police, EMS, and they'll come out as a group. And they participate in stuff Monday through Friday, and I believe they're starting to branch into Saturday and Sunday, just haven't gotten there yet. So, those are kind of the main crisis resources, but ADM kind of has their hands in all of that. And PES is one of the locations that somebody could end up if they are in a mental health crisis where they are unstable and may be at risk of harming themselves or others.
Crisis, emergency overnight shelter that I talked about, and Akron Street Park that I talked about, Akron Police Department and things like that. He did mention Scout team, amazing team. They really focus on, mental health crisis and things like that. They have a different approach to stabilize somebody or help somebody as needed. Haven of Rest, that's our homeless shelter as well. They have different department for male and different department for female. The female one is Harvest Home. Yep. So you could call Haven of Rest if you encounter a female individual with homelessness and things like that. They were able to connect to the Harvest Home, right? Do they
Yes.
have a different-
So Haven of Rest itself is the male side. It is the only male shelter in Summit County. Males can just walk in there. They do not hold a wait list. They don't have anything like that. You are able to you go in as long as you're there within the right times, you meet the parameters, all of that. Harvest Home is a part of the Haven of Rest, but it is a separate entity. They have their own policies on a lot of things. They have a wait list. That is for females, and the female would just contact Harvest Home, see kind of what's going on with there. If they need to be on the list, they would help with that. And they are separate from some of the other shelters like Access and the Hope and Healing, things like that. Those go through United Way, which I believe is probably
Yes.
coming up here in a moment. But that's how you get on those lists, is
Yeah.
going through United Way.
So, and then 211, it's it's for Summit County and Medina County, and then, because we're talking about, homeless shelter as well, I think on the month of December, I saw on the news, and I actually asked a worker from United Way during our bi-weekly meeting, and I asked if they're opening a new homeless shelter in Medina County. They are, so which is a good thing, so we have more resources as we go. They got a funding for that, so that's something to look out as well, just in case people need things like that. We have good neighbors, they have food, things like that, and Department of Job and Family Services has a bunch of resources that people can utilize and things like that. So these are the main, resources you could able to call. And again, all these informations are probably on the street card, which I will bring the updated version this time, so I can give it to the front desk and you guys can have that.
I'd love to say on that list, we are, real important, because we are. But realistically, you can keep one number in mind to work with anybody. Best thing to take away from that is 211. Anytime you're with somebody, you're unsure of a resource, you're unsure what programs might be out there. United Way is there to provide you with that. If you can remember the 3 numbers, that is the best 3 to take away from here. Only because they will also say, oh, hey, you can contact CSS. Hey, you could contact, this food pantry, that food pantry will get you a referral to here. They are truly the central hub for our county as it comes to resource referrals. They also oversee a lot of the programming. A lot of the housing programming does go through United Way. Any of our COC programming that you need some sort of referral for, whether that be the rapid rehousing program, there's Shelter Plus Care, any of the things like Harmony House and Legacy 3, all of those are housing programs that specialize in working with homeless individuals. Will go through United Way. So if somebody calls and just says, hey, here's what I'm struggling with, they will find resources in a program that the individual, may be eligible for.
So like our employees and our folks in the city, it sounds like the thing that you would recommend that we distribute to everybody, whether it's Park and Rec or police or any other department, is like the 211.
Absolutely. Everybody is welcome to contact us as well. Obviously, we are more than happy to see what's going on, be as helpful as we can be. But when it comes to referral providal, getting into programs, getting on wait lists, like let's say you encounter a woman who is interested in shelter. You'll want to call 211 so they can get on the access wait list. Say somebody comes in here and says they're struggling with domestic violence and they're interested in that shelter. That goes through United Way. If you have a youth who is interested in the shelter care program, or you have a youth individual who's struggling with homelessness, United Way will help provide a referral to shelter care, who specializes in working with, young adults and, teenage individuals who are struggling with homelessness. At the very least, they will point you in the best direction to move, whether that is contacting CSS, getting on a wait list. They are a really great resource to maintain.
We get a lot of calls from folks as well. Hey, 211, they told me to call you guys because I'm experiencing homelessness. I haven't showered in 3 days. Are you guys open? Yeah,
Absolutely.
And so we get a lot of calls as well.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
When you mentioned them going on a wait list, what avenue or what direction do we put them in while they're on that wait list?
That is the difficult question, but I'd love to tell you we have a great answer for it, but we don't. Unfortunately, a lot of the programs that require the wait list is maintaining contact.
Well, that was my next question. How do they maintain contact when they don't have access to cell phones?
So a
or
lot of that, I
technology?
would say, trying to find a location that they can keep constant. I know individuals out here may struggle to come downtown to Akron, but anybody is welcome. Like I said, Monday through Friday, they're welcome to come into us, utilize our phones, use us as a point of contact. If we get to know somebody, say this day got here, we meet with them, United Way can call in, we'll do a release and say, hey, I'm trying to reach this person to get them in the shelter. We will come out and find them. But that is the hard part, is with wait lists and things like that, there isn't a great answer, unfortunately. Sometimes it is, hey, we've done what we can, gotta come up with a plan to keep you moving forward, but the biggest thing is maintaining contact, because the unfortunate part is people will hear that, and some will get discouraged. It's very
So I was
difficult when you
thinking,
come in and
build
you're
the
trying to
trust,
get
you
the
build
help.
the rapport, you get them to that step, and then they're turned away.
And and sometimes it'll be harder realistically for somebody who doesn't do this every day, right? To know all the different ins and outs, but I personally, I approach it right with that and being like, hey, I wanna help you get on this list. This list will take time, but it's a list. This is not an immediate answer. And sometimes it can be. You might call in expecting to get on, let's say, Access's wait list. All of a sudden, like, hey, we have a bed available. Wonderful. It's not always the case. I say the same thing about the Housing Authority. I'm the Housing Authority liaison. I work very closely with them for years. I think Summit County itself has an amazing housing authority that other states' housing authorities have come and tried to learn from. It's why a lot of people come to Summit County is the resources we have are so well developed, and we really do work well as a unit within the county. But understanding it's not an immediate fix, unfortunately. We would love to have that, but yeah.
What's the average time that you might?
So it would depend, a lot of the shelters, it fluctuates pretty regularly. I don't have a great answer for that. For the housing authority's wait lists, it can vary anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. It really depends, because each one of those programs differs based on their requirements through HUD and obviously unit availability. But the hardest part that tends to happen, and I think any of my coworkers can speak to it, is we do get that started and we say, hey, please understand this is a wait list. It's good to get it started because the sooner you start, the sooner you can move up, right? But please, let's stay in contact. Let's check in. We have people we check in with every day.
That's
Hey,
our
did you
job,
hear
isn't
anything?
it?
Yep. Did you hear anything about the list? Did you hear anything about this? All right, let's get that in. The other thing is that sometimes we will just encourage, like, hey, the harvest home itself is an individual entity. I will tell women, hey, why don't you just go there? Just pop in, say hi, say, hey, I'm on the wait list. I want to check in. Sometimes that, it's not a definitive thing, but it is okay to just want to check in. Contact United Way as often as you can. Don't want to tell you to call them 15 times in a day, but if you can give them a call each day, check in with us. We would rather you be over connected than all of a sudden your bed's available and nobody can find you.
And in addition to point of contact, the individual who comes to our services, they can actually utilize our address as well for their mail and things like that. So let's say, for example, they apply for AMHA housing, and all that, and AMHA has to send out a mail, but the individual is experiencing homelessness, they don't have a proper address and things like that, it comes to us. So, and because it comes to us, they get in touch with, whoever they are working with and things like that, which is also a plus. A lot of people get their food card delivered, their Medicaid, and things like that, like even medications as well. So, that's also another resources that we have available for our individual, so they do not get lost where they are waiting. Because I understand not everybody has cell phone, not everybody has a proper mailing address and things like that. So we get mail all the time, 2 days a week. We have bunch of them. So yeah.
Can I say something? Like what she was saying too, like what we do as outreach workers is like, most of them don't have phones, and when they decide they want help, we're constantly going there multiple times a week, making contact with them, letting them know that they have an appointment, giving them rides to their appointments. We're very hands-on with them when we're out there. We're not really in the office very often.
Oh, yeah.
Unless we like have the day room, we're out there. People are texting us, calling us, letting us know that there's a new camp here. Can you go take a look? Our boss texted us twice now of 2 people on Graham Road. You know what I mean? Like, so when we leave here, we're gonna go make contact with them. It's we're always on the move, and we're building that relationship with them. It's what it is.
We do have all the mistakes, I think, so. So those are the things you can call. Again, like my coworker said, if you cannot remember any of these, remember 211, just like 911. They can able to direct a person to the right place as well. So enough of talking and things like that. We will do some role play here. My coworker is here. Of course, I'm not an actor, so it's my coworker. We're just gonna show you guys a good approach and a bad approach. So you will see how you can able to build a relationship and how you cannot able to build a relationship. So bear with us, we're not actors.
Again, I
We're
preface this each time,
service workers,
he
so-
should speak for himself. He'd be wonderful.
He does wonderful. Oh my God, he is good at it. I'm not. So alrighty, on our first scenario, let's say for example, we have unhoused individual approach to you to ask for help. You instantly judged. So I'm gonna judge my coworker, and all he wanted was a nearest food pantry because he doesn't have a phone to get access to the address and things like that. So my coworker will be an individual, and I'll be the worker, and I'll be the negative person. All right, approach me.
Excuse me, I had a quick question,
I'm working here. I
which is
don't
why I
have
thought I
time.
could try to ask you really quick if you
What
have a
is
moment.
it?
Well, I was just curious, do you know of any of the food pantry or food resources around?
It's 2025, don't you have phone?
Unfortunately, I don't.
Okay,
I was
I'm
hoping maybe
working
I
here,
could-
that's an extra job that I need to do, I'm already stressed.
Well, I understand that. I was just hoping maybe you could point me in the right direction.
Oh my God, I have to see a lot of different people around here all the time, I'm tired of it. Okay, let me see what I can do. Can you stay over there because we have other people coming in and I don't, you are distracting me. So I'll give it to you when I get a chance.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, you can have a sit there and then I'll get back to you when I can, okay? Yeah, I'm already irritated today, so stay over there. See how it's negative, right?
Yes.
So how he was not able to speak because he's soft with the bad approach that I made, That's not how you talk to individual. It's kind of common sense too, you know what I mean? If somebody's approaching you and all that, try to be kind and all that. What it takes for you to be kind for 2 minutes or something, So rather than imposing, see, I was imposing my value. It's 2025, why don't you have phone? I'm imposing my stress on him, like my days are already bad enough and now I've been kind of, helping. So I'm imposing my value, so I'm not being a support system for this individual and things like that. So that's a bad approach to help somebody.
Those scenarios too are always kind of hard when you think about it too. One thing I like to keep in mind, because unfortunately I've seen that exact type thing where the individual is approached, trying to be very respectful, trying to just get some information because, hey, you're here, you have a computer in front of you, maybe you can help me out. The hard part is the amount of courage sometimes that it can take for an individual in need to identify that, hey, I have to ask for help. That's not always easy, and sometimes when you're met with a, hey, just give me a minute, or, sometimes you can just be like, oh, just, hey, I'd be happy to help you, just give me one moment, compared to, hey, give me a second, can just be very different because that person may have been sitting there for 15, 20 minutes trying to go, I think I can figure it out myself. Maybe I don't need to ask. Last time I asked somebody, I got cussed out, or whatever that might be. Just making that approach, sometimes you might notice an individual either comes at you in a more, what could be seen as a more kind of rough way of like, oh, hey, where's the food pantry around here? Part of that could be because they're ready for the resistance. It's not always meant to be coming at you disrespectfully or anything like that. Or the other side is you might see somebody come up extremely, you might even think like, man, you're really trying to sell. Kind of like what I was doing there. It's like, oh, I understand, I'm with you. You're not always gonna get that. But they might be trying to present as well as possible so they don't have to have that backlash happen.
So as you can see the way, how you approach and things like that. So that's a bad approach again. Let's focus on the good approach, which is a good thing because that's what we want. Let's say the scenario is it's winter time and an unhoused individual do not want to leave your premises. It's time for you to close your business, and now this person is not leaving and things like that. How do you approach that individual? How can you be support system? So, yep, and so you can ask and yep, we can continue.
So the way I like to kind of preface this one, just because of this, let's just assume somebody was here.
Yes.
And maybe they're in a chair hanging out. Even if they're sleeping, this is always, I'll be honest with you, approaching somebody who is asleep is genuinely, I've been doing this for going on 8 years, still my least favorite thing to do. Nobody likes to approach somebody sleeping, but there's definitely ways you can go about it. So that's kind of where I think we'll preface for this one, so.
Excuse me, sir,
Yes.
how are you? I've noticed you've been here for quite a while. You doing okay?
I think I'm good. Yeah, why?
Well, I just wanted to check in. I've just noticed you've been sitting in the chair, kind of dozing off a little bit, and we are getting ready to close. So we're gonna have to, have you start getting ready to leave, okay?
You know, it's literally snowing out and, I don't have anywhere to go. I thought you guys are open 24/7.
Okay, so that's not that one. Did I? That one. But, unfortunately, you're not able to be here this whole time. We
Okay.
are gonna have to ask you to go. Do you have any other places or somebody you can contact?
I don't have anybody, but, if you're asking me, I'm homeless. Like, I don't have anywhere to go and I wanted to be here. But apparently you guys are closing today, so I don't know. Can you help me? I don't wanna ask you for help, but
Of course, I can understand that, and so what I hear is that, you may not have anywhere else to go right now. I can definitely give you some resources that you can contact. Definitely maybe we can make a call here really quick if we, can make that, maybe contact community support services, or, I can get you the number 2 one. Do you happen to have a phone?
I do not have a phone and I also do not have a vehicle, so even if they have overnight center or whatever that is for other people, I don't know how to get here too, so I don't know, I'm kind of stuck here.
So, we can definitely kind of explore some of those options. The difficult part of this is gonna be that unfortunately you are going to have to leave at some point. So we can come up with a plan. I can try to offer you as much as I can, but I can't guarantee anybody's gonna be able to help get you to where you would like to go.
Okay. I'm a nice person, I can sleep here, you can close.
Of course, and I'm not insinuating that you've been nothing but polite to me this entire time. I fully with that. However, we do have to follow the policies here, and that policy states you aren't able to sleep here overnight.
Okay, like I said, I'll be nice and I'll just keep here.
Of course. Now, with that in mind, I'm trying to also, I want to state that this is all part of the policy. You will have to come up with a plan. I'm happy for us to come up with something if we can, but ultimately, if you aren't willing to leave, it would result in you potentially having to contact the authorities. And I would prefer to not do that. You have been nothing but respectful with me, and I would hope that I've been respectful with you, but we have to stick to our policy.
Yeah, I'm in a tough situation, so I'm
Absolutely.
sorry for being a mess here in front of you,
No.
but hey, can you make a call or things like that? Can you help me? Because I don't have anybody who I can, share what I'm going through, or I don't like to ask for help, so maybe you can call for me if I'm not allowed to stay here?
Absolutely. And then in that scenario, we would maybe depending on the timing, how that's going, one thing, not super common, but like, let's say it is the winter, the warming shelter center's open. Sometimes some of the places do assist with transport, like Peter Moore on
Yep.
occasion can provide transportation, things like that.
There are
So
two
we would-
buses, which can take you to the shelter for free.
Yeah.
So they can be anywhere and then they just have to know the bus number. So if you are on social media and things like that, or even in the news and things like that, you can able to see which bus
Which bus can transport to the
transport
metro
to
and
the,
things like that.
yeah, so you just have to let the person, the transportation team member know that you're going to a shelter. So I think it's bus number 13 and I know for
13
certain
is one,
13.
I believe, and then there's another one.
Yeah.
But the metro station obviously would be a resource for that as well.
Yeah, and then feel free to call Metro and say like, hey, I encountered somebody here, it's time for me to close, I can't bend down on my policies, which bus would that be? And they will tell and things like that. So this is how you ask open-ended questions and this is how you help rather than me being a negative person out here. So this is something that we wanted to show you guys. So, yeah, so thank you, Carol, for being here. Alrighty, again, we are with the Community Support Services, we're the homeless outreach worker, and we are more than welcome to take your calls, emails, and things like that. I do have a few business cards here and flyers if you would like, so you can have that as a handy resource. Feel free to call us, let us help you, and all that. I know this is quite different profession than what you guys do every day, but there are resources. You don't have to, bend down your guidelines and policies. So you can able to help somebody, be assertive, let us help you, let's work together, let's help our community, and let's be a helping hand. So that's all. Thank you.
Does anybody have any closing
Yeah,
questions
any
or comments or
questions,
thoughts?
anything? Absolutely.
Do you have the, for me, because he did some work for us in the past, but do you have the street card in any other languages, or is it only in English?
I do believe they provide, they do provide some assistance with that, whether it be